It's Riff Arcade. I'm Butts, and this is Let's Playto, the show that looks into the social, historical, and philosophical themes of your favorite games. I want to say right up front that I'm probably not good at games, and I don't have a degree in philosophy, but I hope this video will inspire you to look into these topics and games for yourself. We try to stay neutral to certain topics at Riff Arcade, and while I will do my best to maintain that, some personal opinions might slip through. Please enjoy, and be aware, spoilers incoming. Today, we brave the Commonwealth with Bethesda's Fallout 4. Set 10 years after the events of Fallout 3, you play as the sole survivor, a soldier who was cryogenically frozen just before a nuclear war devastated the planet. Your family went under the ice with you, but your son is missing. Time to explore the bombed-out ruins of Boston on a quest to find him. And boy, are there quests. So many quests, you guys. I love the Fallout games. The setting, the humor, the references, the music, VATS, it's all great. Seriously, a game that lets me blast irradiated zombies with a laser rifle while listening to Billie Holiday? Yes please. Your driving motivation is finding your son. The biggest conflict of the game involves a group called the Institute. See, the remnants of MIT established a base underground to protect themselves from, let's just call them neighbors. They went about trying to use their intellect to figure out how to undo the damage to the surface. But like all true nerds, they got distracted and started dabbling in robotics. Also, like all true nerds, when they say dabble, they really mean start replacing people on the surface with exact synthetic replications. The Wastelanders do not like this one bit, and paranoia about anyone being a synth runs rampant. Like the cast of Jersey Shore, the slightest odd behavior and everyone goes on high alert. Most Wastelanders are shown to be very hostile towards people they suspect as being a synth. I want to point out that this is 10,000% the correct response to living out the plot of Invasion of the Body Snatchers. But here's what I think Fallout 4 does that's smart, even if it's unintentional. Fallout 4 wants to use this as a pretext to talk about racism, but I think the central problem stands on its own. Should the synths have basic human rights? That's what we're going to try to tackle today. Are synths persons? First, a quick distinction. We are specifically asking if a synth is a person, not if they are human. The words human and person seem interchangeable, but when we are talking about these things, there is a difference. Human is a biological term. A creature is human if it has human DNA and is a member of the human species. Person is an ethical term. A person is a creature that is the subject of rights and duties. I think most folks would agree that you shouldn't go around launching puppies out of cannons, right? We think this because we think that puppies have a right not to be shot out of cannons. Riff Arcade takes the bold stance to oppose puppy-based artillery. Cats, sure, launch them all you want, but not puppies. Think about fictional characters like Data and Spock from Star Trek, or Yoda and Chewbacca from Star Wars. Those are clearly not human, but if we met them, we would say that they have rights. Based on in-game information, we know that the synths are human. They were built using human DNA as their base genetic code. They have flesh and blood, and as Rosalind Chambers explains,
a living synth is indistinguishable from a human by any medical test yet devised.
So biologically speaking, synths are humans. We want to know if they are persons. There have been many thoughts about what should be included when we say person. One of the most straightforward solutions is just to classify all humans as persons. Done. If you have human DNA, you are a person. This view has been pushed by thinkers like Immanuel Kant and John Noonan. Once conceived, the being was recognized as man because he had man's potential. The criteria for humanity, thus, was simple and all-embracing. If you are conceived by human parents, you are human. This view has two advantages. First of all, it's very simple. Human DNA, instant personhood. You could even put it on a t-shirt. Or the less popular. Second, it instantly eliminates racism. People have declared others as not persons to enslave and oppress. Think back to the 3/5 Compromise of 1787, or this crazy war propaganda that paints the enemy as being subhuman. Noonan's view ends all that. If you are human, something we can objectively test for, then you get full human rights. But this view does have some problems. For one, if DNA is the only criteria, then stuff like fingernail clippings would have full human rights, and that just seems silly. It also excludes every other animal on the planet from having rights. So the puppy cannon's back on the table. This view might have an answer for why one race can't claim superiority over others, but it has no answer for putting Homo sapien above other species. In 2003, NASA crashed the Galileo spacecraft into Jupiter's atmosphere to prevent it from contaminating possible life on Jupiter's moons. I'm sure everyone agrees that this was a good idea, but following Noonan's view, it's stupid, because that life wasn't human, so it had no rights, and we could do whatever we want. Well, can we do better? Oh, you bet your sweet puppy trebuchet we can. A different approach has been taken by philosophers like Hegel and Mary Ann Warren. Warren especially developed 5 characteristics of personhood: consciousness, reasoning, self-motivated activity, capacity to communicate, and self-awareness. Or, to put it in layman's terms, a person must be aware of their surroundings and themselves, can plan and do things for themselves, and can communicate with others. Warren's criteria is very mentally focused, and it opens up personhood to beings that aren't human. As Warren herself puts it, it leaves room for the logical possibility that there can be persons that are not human beings, or human beings that are not persons. What makes a being a person, on this definition, is not its biological humanity, but its intelligence and its capacity for thought, reason, reflection, and self-awareness. This means some pets and animals deserve rights. It even opens up the possibility that artificial intelligences are persons. It also has the advantage of agreeing with common sense. I mean, I think we all agree that humans are different from animals, but that we do have some duties to them. These Deathclaws have as much right to be here as— Nope, oh, it's killing me. Oh, I was wrong. Oh, I was so wrong. Warren's view is more inclusive, but it too has problems. For one, look at all of the criteria. See the problem here? Exactly, I misspelt consciousness. There we go. But more importantly, all of these criteria are performance-based observations. We can communicate with a being, that's one of the criteria after all, and try to find out if it can reason or if its actions are self-motivated, but figuring out if it's a person or not comes down to just watching it and judging for ourselves. Humans can be terrible at judging things. The other problem with Warren's criteria is that, well, it kinda leaves out some humans. Babies don't become self-aware for 18 months. Comatose patients can be impossible to tell if they are conscious. The severely mentally impaired might not be able to communicate or reason. None of them meet Warren's checklist. But to exclude these individuals from the rights of people is terrible. Being a synth in Fallout 4 is pretty terrible too. The Institute just sees you as another machine to do what they want.
Keep your voice down. You know what happens if they hear you talking like this. They'll wipe you. I suggest you keep this to yourself.
The citizens of Fenway, Diamond City, are openly hostile to all synths.
Shop in safety. No synths allowed at the surplus.
Not without reason, though. 60 years before you got thawed, a synth living incognito suddenly went on a rampage and killed 10 people. The Institute saw the massacre as just another failed field test, but to the Commonwealth, it sparked the paranoia that lingers to this day. The citizens live with the very real threat that their friends and family could, or have been, replaced by exact lookalikes. This is just another reason the Brotherhood of Steel wants to eradicate all synths. They see them as abominations that blur the line between humans and machine.
Flesh is flesh. Machine is machine. The two were never meant to intertwine. By attempting to play God, the Institute has taken the sanctity of human life and corrupted it beyond measure.
Which is a bold stance to take, coming from people wearing suits of power armor 24/7. The only allies a synth has is the Railroad. They are a secret network of spies, smugglers, and freedom fighters who traffic synths out of the Institute and Commonwealth. But even if they can get the synths out, they have to totally wipe the synth's memory and personality and give them plastic surgery to keep them safe from the Institute. They are, quite literally, a completely different person after the rescue, and many synths find their past and true nature a total shock once it is revealed. Is all the effort and manpower worth it if the being that comes out is completely different from the one that was rescued? If you're struggling to figure this out, I have some good news. The problem of people has been around as long as there have been people. Wait, it's not good news at all. But one of the great things about video games, Fallout in particular, is that they can act as a morality simulator. Want to see what strictly linking personhood to DNA looks like? Then join the Brotherhood of Steel. Kill anything not human. Think Warren's 5 criteria of personhood is correct? Then time to roll with the Railroad. All that cloak and dagger work for practically nothing. And speaking of the Railroad, this brings me back to an earlier point. Fallout 4 wants to make the synth-human issue an allegory for racism. To find the Railroad, which is based underground, you have to follow the Freedom Trail and operate out of safe houses to help synths escape their makers. Okay, ease up their game. Look, we should talk about race issues every chance we get. And if Bethesda wants to center a game about race, then just do that. There's no need to try to shoehorn it into an already interesting issue. An issue that's going to happen in real life. Think about it. What if an engineer creates an artificial intelligence that they design to manage stock market, but it decides it wants to compose music? Do you force it to run stocks? If it has rights, then that's forcing it to do something against its will. Is that okay? How is that any different from forcing a child to take a career path they obviously have no interest in? Fallout 4 catches a lot of flack from the fandom, and it deserves most of it. The settlement building feels more like a demo, the location's kinda meh, there's no Ron Perlman, but I do think it forces the player to really sit and think on some tough issues. That's one thing I feel video games allow us to do that other forms of media do not. Let the audience make the story decisions. And not just make them, give you time to reflect on why you made them. So next time you go strolling through a super mutant lair, reflect on why you made the choices that you did. In this case, those outcomes at war in your mind could, and will, have an actual impact on the real world. Let the mental war happen, because war never changes. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please subscribe and like if you want to see more. Check out more videos and streams on YouTube or Facebook by searching for Riff Arcade. We publish new videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, plus a stream every Thursday.